What's good, Niner fans? The 49ers have traded Jordan Mason, running back, a former undrafted running back. They get a 6th-round pick, a pick swap. They moved up 27 spots in the draft. We're going to talk about it. They traded him to the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings, look, they got Aaron Jones. He's 30 years old. He had a good season last year, but you need depth for a guy that's 30 years old running back, and it makes sense for the Vikings to take Jordan Mason. I feel good for the guy. He needs to be a feature back. He's not going to be a feature back for the 49ers. Let's just throw that out there. I love them. They have CMC. They have Isaac Guerrero. They spent a good draft pick on Isaac Guerrero last year. They really expect him to rise up this year. They got Patrick Taylor, who's on a cheap contract. They were going to pay Jordan Mason $5 million on 1 year. They tendered him, and the expectation was they might trade him. They said a couple of weeks ago they were shopping him. There was a lot of reports, and boom, they traded him. They don't have to pay him the $5 million. They are cutting costs. You have Isaac Guerrero on a rookie deal. You have Patrick Taylor on like a minimum $1 million contract. There are a lot of good running backs in this draft. I love Jordan Mason, but he deserves a chance to start somewhere. It's you know what? Not a lot of fans are happy because they love Jordan Mason. They're attached to these players emotionally. But listen, Jordan Mason's good. He was undrafted, ladies and gentlemen. Undrafted. They got a 6th-round pick for him and a pick swap. A 2026 6th-round pick and number 160 this year. Okay? They had 187. That goes to the Vikings. So you swap from 187 to 160. You move up 27 spots. You get a 2026 6th-round pick from him. You got him. That's actually good value for an undrafted running back. That tells you the 49ers know how to find running back gems. They can find another running back that's undrafted. They did the same thing with Matt Breida. They traded him for a 5th-round pick several years ago. I'm telling you, man, the 49ers, if you know one position the 49ers can cook, it's draft picks. It's running backs. They can cook running backs in the draft like nobody's business. I think it's a good move. I know a lot of people are upset. I even had some people text me they should have traded CMC. You're getting a 3rd-round pick most likely for CMC. He's your lead back. He changes the offense. His ability, if he's healthy 100%, changes the offense like nobody's business. I love Mason. I thought he was good. I mean, he came into the team. He had like a 1% chance to make the roster a few years ago, and he did it. This guy, again, he grinded his ass off from undrafted, and they got a 6th-round pick and a pick swap. They move up 27 spots. I'm happy. They weren't going to pay him $5 million this year, bottom line. And the Niners can get a running back in this draft. There's quite a bit of good running backs in this draft. And you got Isaac Guerrero, who was really good last year. So, listen. Turned an undrafted player into a draft pick. Thank you, Julius. They turned an undrafted player into a draft pick. Like, I don't know why people are upset about this, because you get attached to your favorite players, ladies and gentlemen. I love Jordan Mason. He was good. He was great, and he showcased he should be a featured back. He probably will be a featured back in Minnesota. Now, I know they have Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is 30 years old, coming off 1,000 yards. His legs are probably hanging on by a thread. Jordan Mason's younger. He's ready to take a lot of carries. I think Jordan Mason is going to push for running back 1 in Minnesota. By the end of that season, Jordan Mason will be their top running back. Mark my words. S. Flood says, low-key, I like Mason, but he was a bell cow. He kind of became injury prone. I mean, he never had that many reps. He definitely deserves to go to a team where they can utilize him as a bell cow. Now, it's tough. 49ers running backs get hurt a lot. Niners got rid of Mason. They got rid of Elijah Mitchell, 2 guys Elijah Mitchell specifically was always hurt. And they're going to get a running back in this draft, 100% going for a running back in this draft. JR says this is one of the deepest running back drafts they will get. This is such a good, talented running back draft. I mean, imagine if the 49ers draft Cam Scatterbo, every single one of you will forget about Jordan Mason. I guarantee you, if the 49ers get Cam Scatterbo, every single one of you, oh my God, Cam, you guys will forget about him. Like that. That's my prediction. I love Jordan Mason. But am I going to lose sleep? No, he was good. He was undrafted. The 49ers could get another undrafted running back. Congrats to Mason, says Leon. He got paid. Absolutely. Nathan says, I'm shocked this happened. We'll miss Jordan Mason, but at the same time, I felt this past season he missed out on some big-time moments. I like Jordan Mason. I'm not shocked. They told us a few weeks ago there was reports that he's getting shopped. The 49ers put a second-round tender. A second-round tender. That means a team that wanted to trade him for that value had to pay the 49ers a second-round pick. Instead, they did this. They said, screw it. We'll do a pick swap. We'll give you a 2026 and the team wasn't going to give up a second-round pick. The 49ers weren't going to pay $5 million for a running back, too. They weren't going to pay a backup running back $5 million. That's what they're telling us. They're cutting moves. They're cutting finances. You got Isaac Guerrero on a rookie deal, and you got Patrick Taylor on a vet minimum. Those are your three running backs right now. CMC, Patrick Taylor, Isaac Guerrero. They're going to draft somebody in this deep draft class. That's it. I don't think it's that bad. A lot of people are so upset about the 49ers. They brought back Kyle Juszczyk, though. Y'all love that one. They got rid of a lot of backups, man. I'm not too mad about it. Kyle going to draft a running back at 11. Now I will be sick. L says, what about Jason Verrett? He hasn't played in, 2 years? He hasn't announced it officially, but I'm pretty sure he's retired. I don't think anybody's looking to sign Jason Verrett. Larry Kruger likes Taj Brooks from Texas Tech. I like Taj Brooks. There's a lot of good running backs in this draft. Chris says, Raj, trade CMC. Why? Why would you bring Juice back and try to trade CMC? Do we really want to split Juice, Kittle, and CMC? No, I'm not saying trade them. There's a lot of people that say trade CMC. I had someone text me. I had a lot of people. Ryan Clark said they should trade CMC. I don't think it makes sense. You just brought back Kyle Juszczyk. Kittle, Juice, and CMC, that's a trio. You're not breaking them up. And I don't think you get that high of value for CMC that everybody thinks. People would say, oh, you can get a high value. You're probably getting a third-round pick out of CMC at best. That's my take. And I don't think it's worth trading Christian McCaffrey for a third-round pick. I think he's got one more really good year left in those legs. I know he's got injuries, but I think he's got one more good year left in those legs. Am I watching the Warriors game? It's right there while I'm talking to you guys. I'm streaming the Warriors, or I'm watching the Warriors as I'm talking to you guys. This is big news. Debbie says, Scatterbo is my draft crush. He's a great player. Maybe the Niners could get him. Isaac, next up. Yes, sir. Julia says, Juice is a second-level blocker that attacks the linebackers who managed to get through the gap. Overlooked. He's a good player. He's good, but he has digressed a little bit. But I'm glad we got him back for the culture, for the locker room vibes. Imagine CMC, Guerrero, and Scatterbo. Be nice. California man says, I'm glad Juice is back, but I wanted Greenlaw, Hufanga, Jordan Mason, Deebo Samuel to get a Super Bowl ring. They deserve it. Yeah, but you can't afford all those guys. I love those guys. It's time to move on. Deebo definitely needed a fresh start. Trey Greenlaw, great player. Niners weren't willing to pay him 3 years. He gets a multi-year contract. He deserves it. Hufanga, same thing. He deserves a multi-year contract. They got paid a lot of money, $45 million and $35 million, respectfully. Jordan Mason, he got great money. He got great money with Minnesota. Did you see what they paid him? Did you see what Minnesota paid Jordan Mason? They're paying him 2 years with $7 million fully guaranteed at signing with a maximum value of $12 million. Jordan Mason broke the bank. They traded him to the Vikings, who are signing him to a 2-year, $7 million fully guaranteed at signing with maximum value of $12 million. You think that's running back 2? He's going to be running back 1 very shortly. I'm telling you, what's Aaron Jones's contract? Aaron Jones contract. He signed a 2-year, $20 million contract with the Vikings, $8 million signing bonus, $13 million guaranteed. He's got the money, but I would say Jordan Mason has a chance to take over that role. He's 30 years old. Jordan Mason is a lot younger than that, so we'll see. Good for Mason. Let's see. Chris says, would you agree Juice is one of the best receiving backs out of the backfield, but hasn't been able to show it, mainly blocking? I wouldn't say he's one of the best. He's good. He's got some good skills. He's like a tight end. To me, Kyle Juszczyk's like a pretty solid tight end too. I think he is good at catching out of the backfield. I wouldn't say he's one of the best out of the backfield. He's good, though. He's definitely good. I think he's underutilized, but they do use him as a blocker. That's what the fullback is. You can run a little bit. You can block a little bit. You can catch a little bit. You play a little bit of tight end. You play a little bit of blocker, downfield blocking. Kyle Juszczyk's a fullback, and he plays the fullback position really well. I mean, it's not a position many teams use, but the 49ers use them for the motion, for the, blocking an extra guy to block. And there's a lot of people that were upset because, you could have just kept Charlie Warner last year. It's a different position. Charlie Warner was a tight end. Kyle Juszczyk is a fullback. He does a little bit different. They signed that tight end, Luke, what's his name? Luke Farrell. Was that the guy they signed? I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I think it was Luke Farrell, right? Luke Farrell. Sorry, Farrell, not Farrell. Luke Farrell. They signed him to replace Charlie Warner. A lot of people thought they replaced Kyle Juszczyk with Luke, but they're replacing Charlie Warner. They haven't replaced him. He's a blocking tight end. George Kittle was having to block a lot. He always blocks. We know he loves to block. But now you get Luke Farrell. He takes over that Charlie Warner role, which you've been missing. Kyle Juszczyk can block a little bit too in his role. Lead block for the running backs, whatever you got to do. It's going to open up George Kittle a little bit more. He doesn't have to spend as much time blocking. I think they've been looking for that blocking tight end. They didn't really have it last year. I think Charlie Warner was a guy that, Shanahan liked. Now you got Luke Farrell, and I think that's going to help George Kittle open up the pass game a little bit more. You don't have Debo, so your yak guy is going to be George Kittle. So I like it. And Brie is going to be gone for a while, so you got to have a big passing threat, and that's going to be George Kittle, man. Open it up over the middle, baby. 49ers media hate this trade. He hates this trade. It makes sense, man. Everybody's in their feelings. I get it. You guys love these players. They don't care about the trade, some of them. Some of them are happy. He's getting paid $12 million potentially if he maxes out his contract. I'm sure he loved his time in the Bay, but I think he wanted a chance to have more opportunities. And Isaac Guerrero was probably going to take that step above because he's cheaper. They didn't have to pay him $5 million. He's on his rookie contract. And I think the 49ers value young, cheaper talent. And again, Jordan Mason was an undrafted running back, and the 49ers turn him into value. I mean, I like Jordan Mason. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my God, oh man, I didn't like him. I love Jordan Mason. I thought he was a good player, but he's undrafted. The 49ers can definitely get another undrafted running back this year that we're going to be excited about. So California man says that the 49ers draft Ashton Genty. No, probably not. He's a first rounder. Not drafting a running back in the first round. If they do, I think this fan base would be sick. George Jindal says, I would have liked to sign Raheem if we were going to do this move. He's old, man. I don't think you're going to get much out of Raheem. He wants to go somewhere where he's going to get a little bit of an opportunity to showcase himself. I don't think he would have got much of an opportunity. I like Raheem, but we got to get younger. And Raheem Mostert, what is he, 32, 33? Definitely signing him does not help you get younger. So I like this move. Again, Jordan Mason's a good young player, but he deserves a chance to get more opportunities. And I don't think the 49ers were going to give him that when you have Isaac Guerrero, who you drafted last year early, third round pick. It makes sense from my eyes. Again, undrafted, they turn him into a draft pick, 6th round next year, and then a pick swap where you get more. You went up in the draft. So I trust Kyle at running back. A lot of people don't trust Kyle in many instances, but at running back, you best believe you got to trust Kyle. You have to trust Kyle at running back. That's the one position you trust Kyle at. So George says, is Isaac our second string running back? I'm pretty sure that Isaac right now is our running back too, unless they go crazy in the draft and pull the wool over eyes, bitch. Because the 49ers, they could. The 49ers are very surprising. You never know what's going to happen. They definitely could pull the wool over our eyes. But as of right now, as it stands right now today, I think Isaac Guerrero is running back too. Juice at tight end, no, Juice at fullback. That's what he does. He's fullback, and if he gets a Pro Bowl at his fullback position, he's going to get $250,000. He's a fullback. Tight end 2 is Luke Farrell. Tight end 1, George Kittle, and whoever else wants to step up. They got Braden Willis. Can he step up and be tight end 3? I don't know. They got Mason Peline on the practice squad. Maybe he steps up. But tight end 1, of course, George Kittle. Tight end 2, Luke Farrell. Fullback, Kyle Juszczyk, and he's gunning to try to get more Pro Bowls because there's not a lot of Pro Bowler fullbacks. There's not a lot of fullbacks. If Kyle Juszczyk gets fullback at the end of the season, he gets $250,000 guaranteed in his contract incentive. Smart. So Bill says this is what they did to Breida, and it worked out for them. I said it earlier. You're absolutely right. Makes sense to me. They turned Matt Breida. He was undrafted. They turned him into a 5th round pick. A 5th round pick. 5th round pick, my boy. There you go. 5th round pick. Let's see. Let's see if there's any more news out there about this Jordan Mason trade, because I've been yapping away. All right, what do you guys think? They turned Matt Breida into Colton McKivitz. I get that, but that is true. They did turn Matt Breida into a 5th round pick. That 5th round pick turned out to be Colton McKivitz, which, I mean, you could look at it and say it's a bust, but at least they just drafted the wrong guy there. But they did turn him into a starter. I mean, if you look at it one way, they did turn him into a starter. Now, it's not a great starter, but they turned him into a starter. He's average. You need a better guy than that. What do you guys think? I thought, again, I've sat here. I said I thought it was a good move. What do you guys think? A, B, C, D, F. Do you guys like the trade? Do you hate the trade? I told you I like it, but you don't have to agree with me. What do you guys think? This equals about a 5th rounder, correct? McKivitz isn't a bust. I mean, for a 5th round pick turning into a starter, yeah, technically he's not a bust. But if you look at him compared to some other tackles, you'd probably want a better tackle on your team. He's not the greatest tackle in the league, but turning a 5th round tackle into a starter, low key is a W, although most fans don't like Colton McKivitz. 50-50, C minus C. What does draft swap mean, Jay? It means they took one pick and they turned it into another pick. So like they had 180, I believe, and they turned it into 167. So they moved up is what they did. So they took one draft pick and they turned it into another one. So they turned so they got 160 this year. So Minnesota gave them 160 this year, and the 49ers sent them 187. So it's 27 spots. They had 187 on a mother clock. They turned 187 into 160. So they swapped. That means you swapped a pick. That's what a pick swap is. Low-key, good move. So it's Mason. So this was the actual. So here's what it is. Minnesota, they sent the 6th round pick in next year's draft plus pick 160. Okay. The 49ers, they sent Jordan Mason and 187, draft pick 187. So they took the 187 pick, they gave it to the Vikings, and in exchange, the 49ers got pick 160. So they swapped the picks. The 49ers gave them, here's Jordan Mason, and they signed him to a contract. And then the Vikings said, here's a 6th round pick next year, 2026 6th round pick. That's what it is. So the 49ers got a 6th round pick plus pick 160. They gave up Jordan Mason, who they weren't going to sign, and then they gave him pick 187. So there you go. Yeah, so Mason and a pick swap for 2026 6 and a pick day. Essentially, yes. Are we not getting rid of Moody? I think in due time. They will eventually. I wonder what running back the 49ers will draft. I can't wait to see. Kawa says, I'm happy Jordan Mason got picked. Yeah. I love it. The Niners need to bring in draft consultant. Just spend all this time on reviewing film on the draft eligible players. This is probably the most important draft in team's history. Yeah, it's one of the most important ones. But I'm sure they're scouting well. I mean, if they know they're putting all their chips into this draft, I'm pretty sure they've hired everybody they can to go scout talent. And if you look at last year's draft, they hit the nail on the head. They did a damn good job, Flood. So I'm pretty sure they got the same people looking at film, same people scouting. It might be a few people different here and there, but I'm pretty sure they got every chip in the basket to go after a draft pick this year, all their draft picks. Because last year, they knocked it out of the park. I mean, this was one of their best draft classes last year. If you guys agree, I'm pretty sure you will. And I think this year, the 49ers know this is the draft they have to hit just like they did last year. They know it. They know 100% this draft is critical. So I'm watching some Cam Scatterbo highlights right now. He'd be perfect, says Ryan. He's good, man. I'm telling you. Cam Scatterbo, Scam, Scatterbo. Scatterbo. Oh, man. What do you guys think? You guys hype? You guys, that was shocking. It was shocking when it dropped. It was shocking. I'm not going to lie to you. But, you know, the 49ers, they're always shocking. They're always giving us content. They're always dramatic. You got to love the 49ers, the greatest content team in the NFL. There's always something. They're always in the headlines. Sheesh. Yeah, I love the 49ers. They give us so much content. No team does this for you. No other team gives you the amount of content the 49ers do. Trading Jordan Mason, like I knew they probably would because there was reports a few weeks ago. But when you see it hit your timeline, you're like, oh, my God, what are we doing? And then the way this offseason has been is so eventful. You had the Kyle Juszczyk news. I can't even sleep, bro. At the end of the day, like I told my daughter, I was like, I don't know if I should even sleep. She's like, you need to sleep, Dad. And she's like, I'm glad you slept in. Because when I woke up this morning, Kyle used to check news. I had my phone in D&D, and I was sleeping. I woke up, phone was a mess, and I was like, oh my God. And I'm catching up. When I'm catching up, trying to post everything, and I have like 50 people still messaging me, and I can't catch up to my text. It's a stressful day, stressful morning. Oh my God. So maybe I shouldn't sleep because you never know when the Niners are going to strike. When we're awake all day, they're not cooking. When we're sleeping, boom, John Lynch drops some fire in the pan and he cooks something. So this team is always cooking something. There's never a dull moment. The 49ers are a content machine. I love it, man. I love it. You love the hat. Appreciate you. Chris says, after the draft, after the way Mason got treated last season, I'm glad he got traded. He got treated in a bad way, led the league in rushing yards. Should have kept starting him. I mean, you can't. We knew he was going to fill the place in for Christian McCaffrey. Plus, he did hurt his shoulder. So I think the injury kind of made way for Christian McCaffrey to come back. Because, I mean, it's like Devondre Campbell. This is the example. He knew his role was to play and start until Dre Greenlock came back. He knew his role was to play until Dre Greenlock came back. He was the placeholder. Jordan Mason was a placeholder. Now, there's no disrespect. He played great. He ran, he was the rushing leader at some point during the season. But you know damn well when Christian McCaffrey's come back, you got to know your role. But he also did get banged up as the season was going on, and it was hard because Kyle's like, okay, well, we got to have a healthy guy. And they all thought Christian McCaffrey was healthy, right? He went to Germany, he got the stem cells, and we all thought CMC was healthy. And if you understand, like, if you see CMC and Jordan Mason and you're like, okay, which one do I start? You got to go Christian McCaffrey. He's had the more illustrious career. But I think they did do him dirty because remember, he got thrown under the bus. Kyle Shanahan got mad at him when he came out and he said, I was told Friday that I was going to get the start. Remember that? And that was before everybody knew about the CMC injury. It was a weird situation because Christian McCaffrey was expected to start week 1 against the Jets. Jordan Mason had a heck of a game, his first career start, and then Kyle threw him under the bus, and it was wild. Jordan Mason didn't want to talk to the media. I felt like there was some weirdness with the media. I mean, me and Larry talked about this year. A couple weeks ago, we talked about how him in the media didn't get a good vibe, and Jordan was kind of awkward with it, and it was always weird after that. So, yeah, there probably was some politics in there, and I talked to Smitty about this a few weeks ago, and he thinks 49ers called him injured. They shut him down towards the end of the season because they wanted to maximize him and get trade value, and they wanted to, do a little political work. And I've seen it happen before. There's been a lot of people that have speculated this. Jerick McKinnon said something about this where he felt like after he was tearing it up at one point in the season, they kind of minimized his production. So he didn't, have as much value. So the 49ers didn't have to pay him as much, etc. Matt Breida said something like that before. You never know. There's politics in the background that go on. I don't know. That's speculation, but they did throw him under the bus. Kyle Shanahan did throw him under the bus. I remember he was like, I never told him he was starting. I never told him he was starting. And that was crazy. That I remember that was like the biggest thing after the game. Nobody was talking about the 49ers beat the Jets that night. Everybody was talking about, well, Jordan Mason was supposed to start, but he said he was, but Kyle Shanahan said no. And it was wild. So yeah, he did get a little done dirty. Yeah. Mason deserved better. Well, he's going to get better. He's going to Minnesota, a team that really needs good depth on their roster and a guy that could come in. Because Aaron Jones is 30 years old. They paid him a lot of money. But at the same time, Aaron Jones, 30 years old, it's a little risky. You have to have a handcuff. In NFL with running backs, has to be a handcuff. Jordan Mason is going to be a must-own handcuff in fantasy leagues. Bottom line. I guarantee you he's going to be the best handcuff in the league. One of the best handcuffs in the league. Top 5. Easy. Yeah, I don't know. It's unfortunate for fans because they love these players. They get attached to them. And I know the fans are upset because they're seeing the Niners trade away their players. But you got to see the vision. The 49ers are cutting expenses. They're building the draft. They really want to build their team through the draft because rookies have a cheaper contract and you don't have to pay them as much. I see the vision. I know a lot of people don't. And a lot of people are upset because they see Dre Greenlaw, Hufanga, Charvarius Ward, Debo. They're all gone. I love it. I get it. I love them all. But you got to move on, guys. You do have to move on. It is unfortunate, but see the vision. Let's take a few more questions and we can bounce. Let's see. Andu says, one thing I don't like about Kyle is that he starts vets over younger players that are much better. Although on paper it makes sense. Kyle ain't good at this. He does limit his younger players, but I think now, as we know, the 49ers philosophy is changing, right? In the past, they haven't started young players. You're right. But I think now we're seeing them segue. We've seen a whole different offseason. I think now we are going to see younger players, which is a change. I think this is signaling a change in Kyle and John. They've spent so much money over the years, but I think now they realize we have to play and start young players. Look at the Rams last year. Look at a lot of teams in this league are not afraid to start their young players. And I think Kyle and John, typically they trust the veterans because they've been in the league, and I get it. The veterans typically don't have to be taught a lot, but I think now they're like, damn, their league is using young players. We have to do it too. The Chiefs had a very young defense, right? They had one of the younger defenses in the league. Teams are shifting towards draft. The Buffalo Bills last year, they got rid of so many key players. They got rid of a lot. They drafted, and those draft picks played out. The 49ers are now saying, shit, man, look at the league. The league is starting their starter or their rookies. We have to catch up. I think that's what's happening. I know in the past the 49ers haven't been that way, but I think they're going to change their philosophy this year 100%. That's my take on it. I just see it. They're changing philosophies this year. And yeah, they got a few old guys in there. They were the oldest team in the league last year. I don't think that's the case anymore. We'll see what the numbers are, the average age. We'll see the numbers come out. Once this is all over, maybe I'll go look at the age, do an average, get the median number or whatever. I'll run the numbers for you, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot lower than what it was last year. I mean, John Weeks is going to elevate it a little bit. John Weeks is going to bring that up a little, and Trent Williams. But, I mean, for the most part, their guys are a little bit younger now. They're getting a lot of draft picks that are going to be infused on this team, and I think it signals a change in the 49ers philosophies. That's my take on it. So, he goes. This 49 problems. Which running back with 49er draft? I don't know, man. There's a lot. I think most Niner fans want Cam Scatterbo, but we'll have a whole day to talk about running backs. I know me and Larry Kruger on Tuesday, we'll talk about running backs ad nauseum, but we'll see. Chris says last season we sucked, absolutely sucked in the red zone. So now going younger could help that? I think so. Whatever they did last year, it didn't work. It didn't work. They're changing their philosophies. Last year, they were 6-win team. They're breaking it up, man. They're breaking up the band. Let's see. Susan, if they get it right, it'll be exciting to be underdogs coming from behind again. Pause. I agree. The 49ers are going to be an underdog team. You know what the 49ers do good? Play well. They play well when they're the underdogs. I agree. MSQ says, as Brock Lesnar once said, we're making chicken salad out of chicken shit. I like that. That's a good quote. My man Flood says, changes were needed. It's literally the definition of insanity to keep doing the same thing over and over. I agree, man. I like the change. Not everybody's accustomed to change. I mean, in society, when we have changes in our lifestyle, sometimes it's uncomfortable, guys. We don't like it, but change is needed in this world. You got to adapt to change, and the 49ers are adapting to change. I think it is moving in the right direction. So, who do I have taking 49ers taking in the rounds 1, 2, 3? I don't know. I could do a mock draft, but you sit here, you do all these mock drafts, and then nobody gets picked, and you're like, oh, well, I don't know. I've run away from doing draft predictions because you don't know, man. You can sit here and make 500 mocks, and not a single one of them will tell you who they're getting drafted. I don't know. I just hope they get good players. Bottom line, man. As long as the Niners do good in the draft, I'll be happy. And you can't really judge it until you see them play for a year or two. So, Andu says, I'm excited for Jacob Cowan. He's a speedster. I want to see how he does in the offense scheme this year. I agree, man. There's a lot of younger players that I think are going to be able to step up and play really gnarly. And Jacob Cowan, he's one of them. Ricky Pearsall, one of them. I'm excited. Chris says, in the words of The Undertaker, we need to guard our yard. You're right. I like the wrestling quotes y'all got today. Y'all cooking. How would my man MSQ says, how would you feel if you took your team to a Super Bowl, 2 NFC champions in less than 3 years, but you were being lowballed for an extension? Yeah, I mean, I'd feel a little upset myself. So I'd want to go somewhere that values me. And I think the 49ers players are doing that. I think a lot of the players on the 49ers are going to a team that's going to pay them. I don't think the Niners are going to pay a lot of these guys because They're trying to save money. They did it with Armstead last year. They said, hey, take less money. We love you. We'll keep you, but take less money. He says, nope, cut me. I'm gone. He got his money. They tried it with Kyle Juszczyk, but Pittsburgh couldn't give him the incentives and the guaranteed money that the Niners were. So came crawling back, and it's cool. But most of these players, Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, Travis Ward, they got paid crazy money on the market. I don't blame them. Jalen Moore, the man's a starter now. Aaron Banks, highway robbery, $321 million for these former players that are not on the team. You add Jordan Mason, add 12, 321 plus 12, 333 million at this point now. So, anyways, that's it. You guys have a blessed rest of your night. If there's more news, we'll be back. I'll probably go live on Instagram a little later. I got to make dinner. And then after dinner, I'm going to watch the rest of this Warrior game. But I will be back. I'll go live on Instagram later tonight. All right. I love you guys. You have a good night. Appreciate the support. We've been cooking, trying to get all the news out there. It's crazy. I love y'all. You guys have a good rest of your night. Go Niners.